Abby, Ange Postecoglou, he's just finished winning the treble for Celtic in Scotland.
Serial winner.
Shut up, Flag.
Whoa.
Set
Aggressive.
to be the new Tottenham Hotspur manager.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
To be honest, I'm okay with it. Like, from the research that I've done and looked at, and what I've seen and read about him, he plays a style of football that I'm interested in. Attacking. He says he's unhappy when the ball is not in our possession, and it's not, that's what he wants to play, and that's how he sets his teams up. I don't really get people that are saying they're unhappy with him, because when you look at from a Spurs point of view, we've had the big glossy manager, Conte, Jose. It doesn't work at Tottenham because they're not given what they need to be given. So someone like Postecoglou, who I really don't care, either way, hopefully it works, but at least it's someone with, I think, the right DNA from what I can see coming in. He seems like a decent guy as well, off the pitch. And in terms of a manager, it's always good to have and build that relationship with your players. I think that how wrong can it go? I mean, it's not like it was with Nuno. Nuno was never ever right from the start. That was just the most bizarre appointment. And also when we brought in Pochettino from Southampton, obviously he had a decent year and a half at Southampton, but he wasn't like a glossy manager at the time. I think we wanted to get Frank de Boer or Van Gaal at that time, and that didn't happen, and then we went for Poch. And always what happened, and same with Martignol actually as well before that, whenever we've gone for a manager that isn't really shiny and glossy and there's no expectation and pressure, they actually tend to do better at Tottenham. So I think he's going to be given, assuming it all goes ahead, a 2-year deal with an option for an extra year. And I think that's obviously Levy taking a cautious approach in case it doesn't work out. But I don't see why people are saying they don't want him. People saying, I can't even pronounce his name, I don't want him, which is such a stupid thing to say. I can't bear fans like that.
It's a lack of knowledge.
It's a lack of knowledge and also respect. I mean, look, I know that the SPL is not the same as the Premier League. We all know that. It's it's a different type of league, but you can only win what you can win in the league you're in. And, would you say he's won the treble now? Because I didn't see what happened on the weekend.
No, he won the treble, yeah.
So he's won the treble now with Celtic. Great, fine. What can go so wrong that hasn't already gone horrendously wrong for Tottenham? So at this point, if they've brought in a manager that at least
get this guy in,
but do you know what? At least he shares the same ideals that the club is about in terms of the way the football is played. And as I've said, literally for months now, I don't actually care who comes in as long as I can go and spend my Saturday watching decent football. Because that's all I want.
That's where you're at now. You need to get that first.
My expectations that were raised and made so highly because of Pochettino and, Redknapp before that and Yol, an accumulation, all those things, has all been completely undone in the last 3-4 years because of decisions that have been made by the board. So you have to kind of lower your expectations back down and start from scratch. Tottenham, where we finished this season, was fair and it was right, to finish where they were. Yeah. And I think that's what people need to do. We need to really go back to basics in terms of what the DNA is of the club. This guy seems like he kind of fits that mould. And from what I've seen him say about the style of football he plays at Celtic, and he was relatively unknown when he came here, and he's made that very clear that he was no one. And he's made a good name for him at Celtic, and that's why he's being looked at. So for me, as long as I'm paying the highest season ticket price in Europe, I better be entertained by what I'm going to see. Yeah. And that's all I want. And I think Tottenham fans just need to reassess their expectation and stop turning their nose up at Postecoglou, because just because it's not Nagelsmann doesn't mean Nagelsmann was ever going to work out. It probably wasn't going to work out. He probably will come to the club, and that's why all these managers that have held talks with the board and ENIC and Levy, they don't want to come because they see the plan. So this guy seems to be a bit more of a Pochettino fit that can take young talent, happy to work on a budget, and can maybe mould players, pre-existing and new ones.
Will he get the time? That's the thing, right? Because other guys, like, say for instance, a Mourinho or Conte,
they didn't get the time either.
But there's such big reputations that the fans will be like,
but there's no
he'll
point.
Get it right. He'll get it right. With Postecoglou, the only problem I see with it is that will he get the patience from the fans? He may come in and play.
I think he will now.
I'll give him my
and play good football. What if he? What if
out,
say for instance, the first 5 games?
Well, actually, funnily enough,
he loses 3.
When Poch came in, I think we hadn't won our first 4 or 5, and it was at that game at Villa where he brought Kane on. that actually changed the game, that saved his job.
It's because of what you said why I think they will give him time, because like what Abby's saying, the Spurs fans have been like in the dumps. They've got nothing. Really, they look at their team, it's soulless, it lacks quality, the club's lacks direction. Off the pitch infrastructure has been good to do what they've done, but in terms of, like you said, the on pitch stuff, and they've got, like, you can't accuse Tottenham. You can accuse them of a lot of things, but you can't accuse them of not trying to get big name quality managers that have won everywhere they've been. Ironically, they're not at Tottenham, but then they've got that buy-in where Conte's going to get the time because he could get it right. Mourinho, you would have thought, got the time because he could get it right, but now they've done that. And they've literally come out of that worse. So you have to get behind an up-and-coming manager trying to assert himself. Didn't he come from the J-League as well?
Yeah, he came from the J-League.
But the only thing with that, Flex, is that
it's hard.
We heard the same things said about Graham Potter when he went to Chelsea.
Yeah, listen,
bigger
clubs can swallow people up.
The difference between Chelsea and Tottenham is Chelsea fans are used to winning, or at least competing for trophies, right? We've lost 5 Wembley finals in a row. I think we should be a bit humbled by that, and that's why I've been calling for Pochettino, because not only have we just come off our worst season, but we do need to start again a little bit and start to develop players and actually build our team back up if we're going to challenge for any sort of league, and stop trying to do quick fixes. But with Tottenham, there's nothing to build back because they've not done anything in the first place. And I think there is a lot of people that don't.
But the expectations of Tottenham fans.
But the expectation of Tottenham fans is not to win.
They've got to lower their expectations.
No, the expectations are high. They've got a great stadium. They've got a great training ground.
But that doesn't mean anything.
They're a massively supported team.
But that doesn't mean anything when you're basically trying to do both, right? You're trying to play good cop, bad cop. They don't want to fully back a Conte or Mourinho and put the money where the mouth is. They want to bring through an Emerson Royal who's 22 years old under a Nuno, and they should have hired Conte in the first place, and they're going to get Conte anyway. They wasted that whole summer. It doesn't make any sense to try and play Hannah Montana here. Just take off the wig and be who you really are, which is basically you sign young players, you develop them, and hopefully you get back up to the top where you potentially might win something. And I think the main thing, I don't know this manager very well. I just know he plays good football, and he's come from the J-League, and he's also, I think he's Australian, right? And he's obviously done the SPL.
Greek.
He's done the treble. A lot of people look down on it, but like you said, you can only win what's in front of you. At least he's won something. Yeah. He can go into that dressing room and say, do you know what, guys? Fuck Daniel, we're going to take the cup seriously. I want to win a cup.
And that's what I
just won a cup, I want to win another
one. And how many times have I said that about we are not a club that should be turning our nose up at a Carabao Cup, any type of cup. And that's what annoys me season in, season out. And even Poch did it, to be honest with you. And I think I feel like it does come from upstairs that because not every manager would have the same idea on that. I want someone to come in and actually just not be a yes man and put their foot down and say, we haven't won a trophy in 15 years. Carabao Cup starts in September. It's such an easy route. It's only like 3-4 games till you get to the final.
Do not belittle the Carabao Cup.
No, I'm not belittling it. I'm saying it's an easy.
Flex will get mad.
But it's a short. It's
not about what you win.
That's what she said. It's only 3 or 4 games.
I'm saying it's 3 or 4 games till you get to a final. It's not like you've got a Europa League where you've got so many games. It's if you win all those games and you put 100% effort in, a team like Tottenham should be getting to a semi-final or a final. And I think that this is where someone needs to come in and say, yeah, I'm playing my first team. I'm doing that. And also, in terms of the way the club is run, you don't have to spend massively, as I always say. Like, look at Brentford, look at Brighton. They've got such an amazing way of recruiting and doing things. And funnily enough, Paul Barber, who's at Brighton, used to be at Tottenham. I think he left in 2010. But these are the type of clubs that Tottenham need to remember. That's the type of club you are. Just because you've got a massive stadium, you don't want to back the managers like the Contes or the Jose. So you need to do your business the same way that Brentford do it, the same way that Brighton do it, because they're massively overachieving. And Tottenham were at a point where they were massively overachieving because of the manager and because of the players, and everyone was singing off the same hymn sheet. And this is why I don't mind him coming in, because everyone is now back to a level. And I think Spurs fans that have that expectation that we should be a top 4 side, absolutely not. You need to look and see where we are in the table, and that is very, very accurate. And let's see what happens next season. But also they need stability fundamentally.